Super Bowl 59 is just around the corner in New Orleans, where the Chiefs are set to face off against the Eagles in the iconic Caesars Superdome. The stakes couldn't be higher for the Chiefs, as they have the chance to make NFL history by becoming the first team to win 3 consecutive championships. On the other hand, they'll be up against a powerful Eagles team that many consider the best in the league. With a roster that shines on both offense and defense, the Eagles are not going to be an easy opponent. To make history, the Chiefs will need to play their absolute best. Fortunately, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen the Chiefs rise to the occasion in high-pressure situations. They've consistently shown the ability to elevate their game when it matters most, so I'm confident we'll see their best performance on Sunday. One key factor that often gets overlooked when discussing why the Chiefs have the upper hand in this Super Bowl is their experience. The Chiefs have a solid group of players like Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Leo Chenal, and Isaiah Pacheco, all from the 2022 draft class. These players have never lost a playoff game, have won back-to-back championships, and have played on the biggest stage in Super Bowls. That level of experience is invaluable. While the Eagles do have players who've been in this game before, they don't have the same frequency of Super Bowl wins as the Chiefs. Aside from a few exceptions, like Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Hopkins, and Hollywood Brown, most of the Chiefs' roster has been here and done that. As the game draws closer and the analysts keep picking the Eagles, it's important to remember that the Chiefs' experience in big games gives them a significant advantage. The Chiefs have been in these high-pressure moments before, and not only have they excelled, but they've also proven they're battle-tested. They know how to make those crucial 4 or 5 plays that are needed to secure a win. Now, if we're looking at the matchup purely on paper, based on regular season stats from 2024, the Eagles might have the edge in offense and defense. If you look at things like points per game, yards per game, or even defensive stats like points allowed and turnover percentage, the Eagles seem to have the better numbers. But does that mean they're going to win the game? I don't think so. While many are saying the Eagles have the better roster overall, I'd ask this. Can you name a Super Bowl where the team with the better roster on paper always wins? When we look at past Super Bowls, it's hard to find one where the Chiefs had the better roster on paper, and yet they've managed to win consistently. The Chiefs have always been a team built around their core, and that core is extremely strong. At the heart of it all, you've got Patrick Mahomes, arguably the best player in the world, along with Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, 2 players who are undoubtedly Hall of Fame bound. They're not just stars, they're the best in the game at their positions. When you have players of that caliber, it helps cover up some of the team's weaknesses. But beyond the core, the Chiefs also have young players who've stepped up and shown they're more than capable of handling the big stage. While the Eagles definitely have some big names and are a very solid team, the real question is, can their best players outplay the Chiefs when they're at their best? I don't think the Eagles are quite up to the challenge. The Chiefs are by far the best team in the NFL. They only lost 1 game during the regular season, and while the regular season doesn't always tell the full story, it does show the Chiefs' dominance. Now, looking at the Eagles as they made their way through the postseason, it seemed to me like they were really riding the wave of Saquon Barkley, who did a lot to get them this far. Jalen Hurts made some important throws when needed, but the Eagles' offense really leaned heavily on Barkley to carry the load. With their powerful offensive line and talented tackles, it makes sense for them to play to their strengths. However, the Chiefs have a big advantage of their own, especially with the pressure they can generate up front. With players like Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and Charles Omenihu on the defensive line, the Chiefs' pass rush is something the Eagles will have to watch out for. Whether it's Jones or Mike Dana making plays, the Chiefs' defense is primed to step up in big moments. I believe the Chiefs are going to be able to put pressure on the Eagles' interior offensive line. While I don't think the tackles will completely fold under pressure, there's one thing worth noting. Jalen Hurts doesn't handle pressure well. If you look at his stats against the blitz, it's clear that he's struggled in these situations historically. And guess who loves to bring the heat? Steve Spagnuolo. He's going to send a relentless blitz after Hurts, putting the ball in his hands and daring him to beat the Chiefs. That's a challenge I believe the Chiefs can live with. However, the key for Kansas City is to make sure Saquon Barkley doesn't go off for 150-plus yards and multiple touchdowns. If Barkley racks up 200 yards on the ground, the Chiefs could be in trouble. But honestly, I'm not too concerned about the Chiefs' run defense against Barkley. As I've mentioned before, I think Barkley is a phenomenal player, arguably the best running back in football right now. but the Chiefs have the tools to contain him. Saquon Barkley had an incredible season, rushing for nearly 2,000 yards and almost breaking the single-season rushing record. He averaged an eye-popping 5.8 yards per carry, which is practically video game numbers. But here's the thing. The Chiefs' run defense in the playoffs has been nothing short of dominant. They have an 18-game streak of holding opposing running backs to under 100 yards, rushing in postseason games. That's a huge accomplishment. Now, I do acknowledge that Barkley is a special talent, and he could be one of the few players capable of breaking that mold. If he rushes for 120 yards and scores 2 touchdowns, the Chiefs could still come out on top. But for the Eagles to win, I truly believe Barkley would have to rush for around 200 yards and score 3 times. While I know Barkley has had strong performances against defenses like the Rams, who are no slouch defensively, the Chiefs have consistently shown they can shut down top-tier running backs in the postseason. In the Eagles' playoff run, they benefited from some fortunate situations. For example, in their game against the Commanders, Washington turned the ball over 3 times, which gave the Eagles' offense great field position to score. In the NFC Championship game, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley both scored 3 touchdowns each, helping the Eagles rack up over 50 points and secure their Super Bowl berth. However, I don't think this game's going to unfold the same way. Both teams are among the best in football, and I expect it to be a much closer contest. We've heard all season long that the Chiefs' ability to win close games was somehow a weakness, but when you get to the playoffs, every game is close. That's why, even in tight matchups against teams like Buffalo or Houston, I wasn't concerned. The Chiefs have shown over 15 or 16 games that they thrive in these moments. They know how to close out games, and frankly, they're the best at it in the NFL. Imagine this scenario. It's a 27-24 game, and the Eagles are marching down the field, scoring to take the lead with just a minute and a half left in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 59. The ball is now in Patrick Mahomes' hands, and every fan watching knows that if there's anyone you don't bet against in that moment, it's him. Sure, he might not convert, but in that situation, there's always the feeling that he could pull off something incredible. That's the kind of confidence the Chiefs inspire, and it's one of the biggest advantages they have. And it's not just Mahomes. The Chiefs have the coaching edge as well. Andy Reid is a significantly better coach than Nick Sirianni. But even beyond that, the battle between the coordinators is key. Steve Spagnuolo, who knows how to bring pressure in critical moments, will have the upper hand against Kellen Moore. Moore is a solid offensive mind, but I just don't think he'll be able to outthink Spagnuolo and Vic Fangio when it matters most. Looking at the Eagles' defensive coordinator, it's worth noting that historically, the Chiefs have performed quite well against his defenses. Back when Vic Fangio was the head coach in Denver, the Chiefs had no trouble handling his defensive schemes. Even when he was a consultant for the Dolphins last year, the Chiefs' offense still had no issues scoring when they faced Miami at Arrowhead. So I think there's a bit of overreaction to how strong this Eagles staff really is. Don't get me wrong, they're a good staff, but when you have Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo on the other side, they already have the edge. These guys have been in high-pressure situations time and time again, winning at the highest level. Nick Sirianni, Kellen Moore, and Vic Fangio simply don't have that same experience, and that's a big deal. Coaching matters, and that's why the Chiefs are so confident. With one of the best coaches in NFL history preparing them, they are focused and ready for this moment. That coaching advantage is often overlooked, but it's what can make or break a game like this. I feel extremely confident going into this game. The Chiefs have all the pieces they need, on both offense and defense, and the coaching staff is top tier. I trust them to find a way to rally and win. This is going to be a close game, no doubt, but I believe the Chiefs are going to prevail. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'd be nervous. This Chiefs team has been there before, and they know how to handle the pressure. So, Chiefs Kingdom, that's all I have for now. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more daily Chiefs coverage. Until next time,